Welcome back to Integrity444 LTQS/EFV. I'm Coach Christian. This is part 4 of the Counselor Series teaching, Why Self-Awareness Hurts Before It Heals. In part 1, we talked about how self-awareness interrupts denial. In part 2, we separated shame from conviction. We said shame attacks identity, conviction corrects direction. In part 3, we talked about one of the most important counselor principles. Patterns are data. Now in part 4, we go deeper into what happens after awareness arrives. Because awareness is powerful, awareness is necessary. Awareness helps you see what denial helped you avoid. But awareness alone is not the finish line. Today's teaching is called Awareness is the Doorway. And I want you to hold this line. Awareness is the doorway. Maturity is the walk. Awareness is the doorway. Maturity is the walk. A lot of people become aware and think awareness means they have changed. They say, I know what happened. I know the pattern. I know the wound. I know the trigger. I know the cycle. I know the tactic. I know the red flag. I know the behavior. But knowing is not always becoming. Awareness shows you the room you are standing in. Maturity helps you walk out. You can understand manipulation and still keep responding to it. You can understand trauma bonds and still keep checking the phone. You can understand boundaries and still keep over-explaining yourself. You can understand emotional intelligence and still let emotional pressure control your decisions. You can understand energy leaks and still keep giving access. You can understand the pattern and still stay loyal to the cycle. That is why the counselor path does not stop at awareness. The counselor asks, now that you see clearly, what will you do differently? That is the maturity question. Not just, what do I know? But, what will I practice? What will I stop excusing? What will I stop feeding? What will I stop calling normal? What boundary must follow this awareness? What decision must now align with the truth? Awareness without action can become another form of delay. You can study the pattern forever. You can watch every video. You can read every post. You can name every tactic. You can explain every wound. You can describe every trigger. But if your behavior never changes, awareness becomes a room you keep sitting in instead of a door you walk through. That is important because sometimes people use awareness to feel productive while avoiding the decision awareness requires. They say, I am processing, I am learning, I am understanding, I am studying the pattern. And sometimes that is true. But sometimes processing becomes a safer word for postponing. Sometimes understanding becomes a way to avoid choosing. Sometimes learning becomes a substitute for boundary. Sometimes I need more clarity becomes a delay when clarity has already arrived. The counselor does not rush you, but the counselor also does not let you hide forever inside information. At some point, awareness must become a new choice because truth that never becomes behavior will keep becoming pressure. Maturity does not always require a dramatic decision. Sometimes maturity begins with one new response. Instead of explaining for the 10th time, you pause. Instead of answering immediately, you breathe. Instead of entering the same argument, you step back. Instead of ignoring your body, you listen. Instead of minimizing the pattern, you write it down. Instead of chasing validation, you return to your own truth. Instead of saying yes from guilt, you say, I need to think about that. Instead of reopening the wound, you choose distance. Instead of trying to prove your reality, you protect your peace. Maturity is not perfection. Maturity is a new response after truth arrives. That is why awareness matters. Awareness gives you the opportunity to interrupt the old pattern. But maturity is the willingness to actually interrupt it. Not once for performance, but consistently enough that your nervous system learns we are not living from the old agreement anymore. There is often a gap between awareness and alignment. You may know the truth before you have the strength to live it consistently. You may see the pattern before you know how to interrupt it. You may understand the wound before you know how to protect it. You may realize what needs to change before your life has the structure to support the change. That gap is where many people shame themselves. They say, I know better, so why am I still struggling? I see the pattern, so why do I still feel pulled? But the counselor says, do not turn the gap into shame. Turn the gap into structure. Ask, what support do I need? What boundary do I need? What habit do I need? What language do I need? What plan do I need? What accountability do I need? What environment do I need? What must lose access so the new choice can survive? This is how awareness becomes alignment. Not by hating yourself for the gap, by building structure inside the gap. Awareness is easy when the room is calm, but emotional pressure tests awareness. You may know your boundary until guilt arrives. You may know your truth until someone denies it. You may know the pattern until they apologize again. You may know your decision until loneliness comes. You may know your worth until rejection touches an old wound. You may know your direction until fear starts negotiating. That is why maturity is not measured only by what you understand. Maturity is measured by what you practice under pressure. Can you stay aligned when guilt arrives? Can you remember the pattern when the apology sounds sincere? Can you honor your body when your fear wants to override it? Can you stop explaining when confusion invites you back into the loop? Can you choose truth when false peace is offering relief? This is not easy, but it is the work. This is where LTQS comes in. Listen, tell the truth, choose wisely, stay aligned, listen to the signal, tell the truth about the pattern, choose wisely instead of automatically, stay aligned after pressure arrives. That is maturity. Now let me clarify something. Maturity is not coldness. Maturity does not mean you stop feeling. It does not mean you become hard. It does not mean you become emotionally unavailable. It does not mean you stop caring. It means your care is no longer allowed to cancel your clarity. It means your compassion is no longer allowed to erase your boundaries. It means your empathy is no longer allowed to override your evidence. It means your hope is no longer allowed to ignore the pattern. Maturity says, I can care and still choose wisely. I can feel and still stay aligned. I can understand why someone behaves a certain way and still protect myself from the impact. I can forgive without reopening access. I can be compassionate without volunteering for the same injury. That is not coldness, that is emotional intelligence. The counselor path teaches you how to hold feeling and wisdom in the same room. Now I want to give you a practice. This is called awareness to action. Choose one thing you are now aware of, one pattern, one wound, one habit. Then answer these 5 questions. Question 1. What am I now aware of? Name it clearly, do not make it vague. Question 2. What has this awareness revealed? What truth can you no longer ignore? Question 3. What old response does this awareness interrupt? Over-explaining? Chasing? Freezing? Question 4. What new response will I practice? Make it specific. For example, I will pause before answering. I will write the pattern down. I will stop explaining after I have already been clear. I will take space before responding. I will say no without a courtroom defense. Question 5. What structure will help me stay aligned? A script? A schedule? A boundary? A support person? A journal? A reminder? A block button? A no contact window? A planning rhythm? Awareness becomes maturity when it becomes practice. Not performance, practice. Before we close, reflect on these questions. Question 1. Where have I mistaken awareness for transformation? Question 2. What truth have I named but not yet practiced? Question 3. What pressure usually pulls me out of alignment? Question 4. What new response would maturity choose? Question 5. What structure will help me practice that new response? These questions help you cross the doorway, because awareness can open the door, but maturity must walk. This is part 4. Awareness is the doorway. Remember, awareness is not the finish line. Awareness shows you the room. Maturity helps you walk out. Awareness names the truth. Maturity practices alignment. So do not stop at knowing. Let what you know become a new choice. Let the new choice become a new rhythm. Let the new rhythm become evidence. Let the evidence rebuild self-trust. If this teaching spoke to you, comment maturity. If you are ready to keep growing, comment growth. Continue with part 5, the pattern audit practice. I'm Coach Christian. This is Integrity444 LTQS/EFV. Name the pattern, grow beyond it. And remember, awareness is the doorway, maturity is the walk.